By competitive rates of interest, we can give you cash loans in hand. We'll send a businessman straight to your doorstep to collect the repayments. And you'll be debt-free with us in no time. No, I feel like an idiot. But yeah, that used to be me. I used to go door-to-door collecting loan repayments for people who shouldn't be in debt, and we encouraged that debt. I did a lot of things I can't forgive myself for, and I saw a lot of things I can't forget. And it really took its toll on my mental health. Eventually I decided to do something about it and live my life. So I quit. Well, it's me being badass and quitting. But what do I do then? I mean, I dropped out of college to do that, and I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, but I was like, comics. Comics were good. Comics are good, and that's why we're all here today, and alright. So I decided to write my own comic. So I'm with Tesco's finest fine liners and some scrap paper. I made my first ever comic, which was called Damnation. Semi-autobiographical horror thing about my mental health, so that guy represents kind of like the dark half of me. So it kind of chronicled how I felt at the time of leaving that job and the effect it had on me. Heavily dealt in metaphors. There's a lot of metaphors. There's also Meta 5. But I was quite proud of it. We did quite well. Within a month we'd sold out. Did all the conventions and the book signings. Your boy did good. And from there I worked with an American writer called Brent Harshman, and he hired me to do his comic called Wrestling. It was the first time I ever worked from someone else's script, and it's kind of like my school. I learned a lot about how to draw, and you get a lot of a challenge when someone else is telling you how to do it rather than playing to your own rules. And then came my foray into superhero comics. Because everyone's got to do a superhero comic at least once in their lives. As the High Priestess, inspired by quite a few strong women I know, so I'm here today. My art wasn't the best it could be, but I had a lot of fun doing it. Came out at #1 in the charts, and we followed that up with the second issue. That went equally as well. As you can see, the art was starting to improve a little bit. I couldn't draw. I just wanted to draw, and there was enough motivation to start getting better and better and better. Your boy did well good. What happened from there? We did all of this. It was an amazing year, 2015. Touring the country, doing all the comic cons and book signings. Probably the best year of my life. But then it all went bad. On the way to a comic sign, I got hit by a car. This is an accurate recount of how it happened. So I got hit on the driver's side by a van. Hence this lovely leg brace I'm wearing today. And what else happened? It all kind of went bad, so that's me with my bad leg.
Wow.
Photorealism. And from there, my fiance left me. So my leg was wrecked, I was single. 2016 I hadn't made a single comic at all, and it was quite bad. Probably the worst year of my life following. A good year, but it's 2015. So I felt really depressed, and I had a bit of inspiration to make one last comic.
Wow.
And from that came my big old comeback. That seems really arrogant now, I regret putting that slide in. And we did the only story I felt I had left to tell, the most important story I had in here, and that was my story, what happened at the loan company, what we did, all the joy, all the pain, and the ones I forgot. And it's probably the hardest thing I've done in my life, but also the most rewarding. So we had the character of the Blue Flame, the book's called the Blue Flame. I should have put that in before that. But the Blue Flame's kind of like a spirit guide. She picks me up in my darkest hour and guides me through these memories to try and work out why things turned out the way they did. And I think it provided some sort of catharsis in the long term. And we finally did it. It came out 2 months ago now. 150-page graphic novel. My art got a little bit better as well.
Finished in the first 12 hours.
So, your boy's doing alright again. So we've got the Blue Flame that's out now. You can buy that today for £10. We've got High Priestess issue 1. I wanted to give that away free to all of you as part of Free Comic Book Day, hosted by the lovely guys at Spartown Comics. And thank you.
Thank you. Anyone got any questions to ask about the journey so far or any of the challenges?
I think I covered it while doing this.
What would you say have been your main challenges in trying to self-publish? I mean, where did you even get started and how did you start that?
So here's the thing, it's a huge gamble. I mean, you could write a good book and it wouldn't sell any, or you could write a terrible book and it sells hundreds. The market is so unpredictable, and if you try and predict the market, it gets worse. I mean, if you try and cater to the demographic, you're going to dissatisfy them if you give people what they want. I think I learned that with a few of the magazines and stuff I was putting out. Is very much people like that, I'm going to do that. It always kind of backfired. I think that's probably why the Blue Flame was so successful. I mean, I wrote it for me to deal with what was going on. I think hopefully people reacted to that and resonated.
I think it's fair to say, I think it's fair to say that all of the feedback that you've had and the reviews that you've had so far have said that this is a comic book not like any other comic book, because it really leaves you feeling quite raw with the emotion, which is not something that tends to come through with a lot of the comics. And you've had some amazing reviews from people that are quite well known within the comic world as well. That has really been, you've captured the essence of feelings in that book, but also it's been part of that process. And I remember being part of that journey for you when you first launched it on the Kickstarter, and the emotion behind that. But talk us through that, that whole bit about you'd written the book, it was the end of writing the book, and then it was this next journey, wasn't it, of launching it on the Kickstarter and the emotion behind that.
So the crowdfunding was a weird option for me. I mean, normally I'd self-fund the books, but I was in a financial position where I couldn't afford to do that. So I needed to turn to crowdfunding. I don't like it too much. I mean, with Kickstarter, you got on there, it'd be a 30-page comic book, you pledge £10 to get your 30-page book, but then you come to a Comic Con, the same guy selling that book for £3. It kind of feels like a slap in the face for people who are supporting you early. So I wanted to make it the best deal, so the backers got more goodies and stuff than you would if you went to see me at a convention. Sorry, people who see me at conventions. But I never wanted it to be a fund me, it was more like a pre-order service, if anything, for the book. So I made sure the book was finished first. It wasn't give me money, not make this book. It's I made this book.
Yeah.
Give me money if you want it. So what was the target? Like £800. That was all I needed to pay a couple of the artists who were involved, and then
Print costs.
the print cost. And we hit the target within 12 hours. And it's
Awesome.
when you think you're alone and to have people come around you and support you like that, there's no words to describe. I'm still processing that all those months later.
Yeah.
And it's strange and exciting and a whole new but it's it's something you cannot put into words, that sort of love and support.
Put it into pictures then, hey.
I don't know about that.
Has anyone else got any questions at all?
Do you have any ideas for your next comics?
I think I'm going to stay autobiographical. I think there's a sort of personal level you can get in on, and people enjoy it. Maybe it's sort of like what's the word? Voyeuristic. No, that sounds negative, but people like to share a little bit of themselves. It's even some people superheroes, they put what they know in there, put a bit of their heart and soul into it, and I think I've really got a kick out of that. It's hard, putting yourself out there and things you're not so proud of, but I think the honesty kind of pays off in the long term.
I think that's what surprised people is your honesty that's been in there, and I think everybody wants to connect with a character in a book, and although you've got your superheroes and you've got your Blue Flame spirit guide, people are very much saying that they've connected with you because it brings out parts of themselves that they hide away or they don't want to talk about. And I think you've really given a platform for people to be able to talk about the things that we all fall into the traps of doing, because that's modern day life, and you've demonstrated to people that you can step away from that and you can stay true to your values, and although that can be a difficult journey, you can take that forward. And I think for people that find it hard to talk to other people about their emotions or the things that they've done in their life, you've also used a platform that means that you can do that without necessarily wanting that direct feedback, but you've also put yourself in a very vulnerable position to do that. Have you had any negative feedback, and has that made you feel?
Not on the story level. The art's still not perfect. I'm not a professional artist yet. I've been drawing for about 2 years now. The improvement in quality since I started is immeasurable. You can put it side by side, it's a huge difference. But I think the story-wise, it's raw and it's honest, and it's a big chunk of my heart on a plate and served to someone. And
Absolutely.
if you don't like the content, I think it's respectable.
What's your sort of process though? Because when you're writing and drawing, is often, how do you separate that out? Do you sort of write the whole story out first, or do you kind of think? Do you just feel your way through it? Or?
My normal process would be a script, almost like a movie.
Yeah.
Redraft it a few times just to get it nice and polished and nice and tight.
Yeah.
With the Blue Flame, I lived it. So it's the character in the book who's being guided through these memories is kind of me as the writer and the artist.
Yeah.
So I'm reliving it from a third-person perspective. I'm looking on my memories and reliving them, and that was difficult. I mean, mental health-wise, I was kind of pushed to the edge while writing that. But long term, it did okay. But yeah, I didn't even have a script for that one. It was remembering it. Obviously, going along, I'd thumbnail the pages and stuff just so I never have angles where get the pages nice and as it could be, rather than just drop it. Yeah. Trying to be a bit more dynamic as an artist as well. And yeah, it turned out well.
Do you find it quite draining to put such personal things in and to be dredging them all up again and the feelings? And
Absolutely.
But is it also cathartic in a way?
I think in the long term it was cathartic. In the short term it was a nightmare. I think you're reliving it from this subjective viewpoint. It's all a lot more focused and refined. So I mean, if you're having a bad day, it's not a completely bad day, is it? I mean, you know, you've had a nice dinner or something like that, but you've had a bad memory. But in the memory of it, you're already remembering the bad thing. So it feels a lot more focused and intense, I guess. But long term, I mean, the feedback that came from it, there was a lot of people who inspired it. Like, I was a huge Constantine fan, and the TV show, building up for that, I was reading the comics and stuff, and I got to meet him that month ago now.
Yeah, about a month ago.
And we got chatting about how he inspired me to quit my job and make a comic. And that felt cathartic, just to kind of like let someone know that they had a hand in changing my life for the better.
And also, are you disguising people who are in the past, or have any of them seen through that and
I think
you're on it, you know?
Well,
cover the camera. There may have been threats. But it's the first disclaimer in there is it's a work of fiction.
Yeah, of course.
Because again, it's a subjective viewpoint. I mean, my opinions of things might be completely different to those of others, and I have respect for everyone. It's real life situations played by fictional characters, I guess would be the best way to describe it. Except for me, I'm real.
you think?
I just start fading away now.
Made entirely of Jaffas, but real.
And more Jaffa cake from that.
I think it's worth noting as well that you've done all this alongside working full time, because although you quitted that job, you obviously needed a job in order to function, to pay for your home, to do all of those things. So it's not that you've just abandoned regular living.
I mean,
it's been done alongside that with some really heavy schedules, some really heavy late nights, on top of all the emotional stuff that came with reliving those moments as well.
So inherently, I'm quite a lazy guy, so
That's not genetic.
okay, right. So you've got to set these deadlines. I mean,
Yeah.
my deal was I come home from work at 6, get drawn, I'll probably finish about 1 in the morning. My reward for that would be dinner and sleep, and it was that every night. For 6 months, I'd do a page a day, every day. And it nearly broke. I don't like looking back. I don't know how I did it.
No.
Now with all this free time, the time just vanishes, and I don't know where that time came from.
You were breaking yourself in order to get that end product done, but you were really focusing on that end product, but you could see almost the decline yet the remaking of Rees in that process, if that makes sense. You could see that.
It's reality.
It is, isn't it? But you could see that. Asking how that's made him feel through the process, I think it's also, for me, it's been a very bizarre experience. Rees is my son, by the way. So
I think we all guessed.
Knowing that he's been through some of those difficulties and he's put those on paper has been a very, very difficult process for the people around him as well, because there was a lot that went into that book that had never been shared. Parts of his life that we were aware that he was struggling, but we didn't know the depth of it. So there's a really great way for me to have read that book. The dark stuff is in black and white, and the good stuff's in colour. So as his mum, I've only found the strength to read the colour bits so far. And I think the fact that I can just see him and all of his achievements is kind of me reading the book enough at this point in time.
You're a good egg. But going back, yeah. So the bad bits are all drawn in black and white, and the good bits are in colour, and you kind of have that little fade in between the two. So there's good elements within the bad times, but in full colour and stuff. The colour stuff was harder to do.
That's interesting. Why?
It's more painful to remember the good stuff
okay.
you no longer have than the bad stuff that's gone.
What you've lost rather than what you've been able to come through and gain?
Because that's bad stuff, that's behind me, but the good stuff, while also behind me, it's also what I've lost, and it's a bit sad.
But this process has allowed you to know that you've got good stuff ahead of you.
Oh, yeah,
because it's fair to say that at one point there was nothing ahead of you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very fair to say.
So now that you've done this novel and it's sort of out there, has that freed you up to now have more time to do the comics, or are you still working, doing comics on the side, or like, how are you managing that?
A bit of both. I mean, I've just moved someone into my flat as well, so that financially frees up a bit of time to do the comics. My plan is, like, with comics, if you're doing single issues, it's kind of this expectation to get them out on a regular basis and to that audience. And that's hard to sustain when you're self-published, both financially and time-wise. I mean, Marvel can manage putting out a book a month because they have a lot of money and a huge team behind it, whereas if you're just one guy doing it in the evenings after his full-time job, you can't sustain that. So I'm kind of taking like a band approach to it, like a musician would. You do the one album and you take it on tour. So I'll do the graphic novel, I'll do a year of conventions and signings and talks with that book, and then release another one the next year. So I've set myself 12 months to do the next graphic novel, which will be out in March or February. So that'll kind of be my window every year to put out a graphic novel and then tour it each year, hopefully.
Yeah.
That's the plan at least.
Yeah.
Anything else, or all good?
I have like kind of two questions going a little bit back. The first one is, this is an autobiographical. So how you manage to put your ideas in order for others to understand what you are saying? Because sometimes it's difficult to say something and to others to get the point.
Yeah, get that. So I'm a huge fan of autobiographical graphic novels anyway, like Persepolis and Spiral Cage by Al Davidson. That's a name drop.
Hey.
And it kind of feels like it's not me saying this is how I feel, it's more, especially with me, it's very objective, this is more what happened. And in a way it kind of paints me in a bad light. I feel that's the best way to do it, rather than come across as, I haven't read many celebrity ones, but I assume they're all anecdotes and selfishness. But it's more of a, here's what happened, make your mind up, rather than all feel sorry for me or feel this way or that way about me. And I feel that's the best way to do it. I didn't really want to hamper anyone's judgment of me. I didn't like it.
You also had a special little team that as you were completing each section, you had them reading and editing and getting feedback.
I think they're all watching. Shout out.
Yeah. Give a shout out to your
Tanya,
squad.
Kay, the whole gang.
Leon.
That's good as well to bounce it off people. It's split into chapters, almost like issues of a comic, and they kind of cover different subjects that went down. And that's a good way to do it as well. Kind of each chapter explores a different aspect of it. You know, things I did at the loan company, things that happened to me at the loan company, relationship things, bad relationship things, all in separate chapters, and then at the end it wraps it all together. And then you can kind of make your own judgment on why things turned out the way they did. I feel that was the best way to do it, rather than influence the audience.
And
Okay.
well, the other one is kind of you're not restricted enough to pages. So how did you start it, or how you encourage yourself to self-publishing? And what was kind of the process to do this self-publishing?
I always kind of had like a film approach, whereas you have a script and you describe the panels as you would the shot of the film. So I did that for my first book, and no matter what you write, no matter how proud you are of it, if you go back and read it, you'll see flaws and stuff. And I ended up redrafting it and retooling it to make it work. I think the first book had about 5 different drafts, just to get it nice and tight and the best way it could be, because it's a 30-page book and I like to tell the whole story in that. I can't remember who said it, but they compare writing to engineering. It's not about how much you can add, it's about how much you can take away and it still works. And it's kind of stripping it down to the best it can be without all the frills and excess, really. Because the reader will be, I mean, you've you could probably name some comics right now that are a bit stuffy and a lot of nonsense that don't need to be there. I think that was my best approach, just stripping it down. How you if it's not good? Best way to do it. I guess you have to learn to take criticism, but in the long term it's worth it.
I was a bit late, so apologies on that. I think you might have already said this, but do you use, is it all on computer, or is it some of it hand-drawn? Or
The majority is hand-drawn.
Yeah.
Colouring, we'll do with the computer, but yeah, it's hand-drawn on paper, scanned in. No, the lighting and stuff we changed a little bit digitally just to get nice, but other than that, yeah, it's all hand done. I never got along with digital. I've tried it, but it's a whole new system you have to learn all over again. It's kind of like learning to write with your other hand. It kind of feels alien and it takes a long time to get there. That's time I don't have.
And you've got originals you can sell.
Absolutely. Actually, bought some with me. Yeah.
And some of those have been put in as the extra items with the crowdfunding, wasn't it, as well as you hit more targets. There was
That was our more
artwork
popular
and-
Kickstarter pages as well. You could get a page of original artwork with
Yeah.
the book, and that was, really went well. I knew it was caricatures, of course. But yeah, it's something nicer about it being done by hand. I mean, have you been to the museum in London? We've got all the comic art, and it's
The
like
cartoon museum?
Yes.
Yeah.
you can't beat seeing like a big original page.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like it. Not that mine, like of that standard, but it's so nice about physical media.
Do you think there was something as well emotional and cathartic in the fact that you use pen and paper rather than it being a digital process on a computer? So you've thought it, you've drawn it, and then that process of colouring it, did that give you some kind of thought space while you were doing that?
Possibly. I guess I'd get the same if I knew how to do it on the drawing tablet. It'd probably be the same sort of experience, but it's so nice about it. You get that satisfaction even every night. You get that little thrill of completing a page, and you send it off to your little mates, and the little crew would give you feedback on it, and that's nice. You get a little warm feeling that you've accomplished something. That's a nice feeling.
Fabulous.
Can I ask, now this is out there and popular, are you interested in what some of the publishers could bring to it, or are you?
Absolutely. I've sold out. I've sent a copy to every commission editor and movie studio in the UK, just to see what they say or whatever happens. Who knows? See what happens. But yeah, I mean, as far as publishers go, if someone offered me money to take it off my hands, I'd sell out. I'm a terrible person, but right now the distribution network I've got, as an Alan Moore, it almost started off like a fan site, but it's become more of got a great small press following. I deal exclusively through them. He sells all my stuff, and we split the cut 50-50. I think giving retailers that cut of it kind of encourages it. I don't know what the cut is when you're dealing with a bigger publisher, but it can't leave too much margin for profit.
Not really. It depends on the. I'm Dan, I'm co-owner of Spartown Comics, by the way.
Hey! Yeah, come on.
Depends on how much you buy. So if you're a small.
You're just that camera.
Oh, am I? Yeah.
That's your mark there.
Thank you. If you're a small shop like us, we've got you literally talking 35%, 40% tops. If you're like a Forbidden Planet that's got huge buying power, you could get anywhere between 50 and 60%, which gives them a huge advantage. Whereas a small retailer for us, it's like you're really reliant on kind of sub-customers and people to get a loyal following that are coming in and not leaving you, ordering comics and leaving you for 2 months before they go and pick up. It's like that regular kind of customers dropping, picking up, and if they order something, they bloody come and pay for it.
So I guess it's more the community approach rather than like a capitalist, here's our shop, buy our things.
Oh, absolutely.
I guess the same
Absolutely.
applies for small presses where you build up that loyal
No,
fan base.
absolutely.
They buy your new book every time it comes out, and that's...
So this is the reason why we do, this is the third year we've done free comic book day at the library under Leamington Comic Con and Spartown Comics, putting on talks, we do free comic book day, we do small press day, Halloween comic fest, we have free face painting and all stuff. It's key, the community element is the key. And hopefully that then means that we get a loyal customer base that come and buy their comics from us and not a Forbidden Planet that are coining it.
I think did that answer the question? I think that's the secret, just offer it on a bit more of a personal level, rather than here it is, buy it, see you later. It's more of a Excellent stuff. Have a good time. Enjoy it, basically, rather than the cold hand of capitalism. A little bit political.
Just a bit.
There we go. Anything else? Good.
That's a wrap. You good?
Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks, Steve.